Trio Swords. While he was in the gardens feeding pizza to the dogs, he heard the police sirens. A shadow ran through the bamboo grove, and he darted past the pool before jumping the front fence. Kain observed the interloper with mild amusement. He munched on a pizza slice while he waited to hear the inevitable. A police officer yelled, "Freeze!" This was followed by more running, and a few minutes later, he heard a high-pitched scream followed by silence. It was finally over. He got a call from Lola. Her colleague bragged about her latest arrest. She had caught the phantom thief. The female thief had tried to pull a Grinch, hitting all of the mansions in one quick succession, and she had been undone by her own ambition, or maybe she had allowed herself to be caught. It was a relief that it was finally over. Ken returned to the house to finish his pizza in peace, and from time to time he would answer text messages from his friends and family. "Gosh, why am I so sleepy? I guess I woke up too early," said Kain. T-Bone meowed in response. "I'm probably just bored." "I am bored, actually. I think tomorrow we're going to Isla Morada to inconvenience Natasha's family. It will be nice to go sailing for a bit, to be rocked by the waves." "Gosh, I'm so," said Kain, no longer able to string two sentences together. Every time he opened his mouth, it was to yawn. He sent everyone a Merry Christmas digital card before calling it a day. He just didn't have the mental energy to read their messages and give personalized responses. He dragged his tired limbs to the second floor, and he gave himself a quick shower. On the way out of the bathroom, his vision became blurry, and his legs started to fail him. He lowered his body into a crawl position, and he reached into his pocket in search of the cell phone. Damn, he had left it downstairs, or did he? He couldn't remember. He narrowed his eyes, and he saw his cell phone at the edge of the bed. It was so close, yet so far away. This debilitation wasn't normal. There was something wrong with him. With sleep quickly overtaking him, he summoned enough strength to dial 911. The call went through, and it was answered by Monique Singleton. She was working on Christmas Eve in order to be able to afford her children's Christmas present. 911, "what's your emergency?" asked Monique. "Meow," said T-Bone. "Sir, is this a prank?" asked Monique, annoyed. And this was the third crank call of the night, and she added, "Are you indeed in need of assistance?" "Everything is fine, officer," said a voice at the other side of the line. The stupid cat was playing with the cell phone, and it must have accidentally dialed 911. You know how curious stupid cats are. "Is your name Kain Sanson?" asked Monique. She had the caller ID, so she wanted to verify the identity of the caller in order to send Kain Sanson a fine. "Yes, my name is Kain Sanson," said the voice. "Kain with a C?" asked Monique. "Yes, Kain with a C. I mean with a K," said the voice, remembering the proper way to spell Kain's name. "Look, I gotta go. The cat is scratching at my leg." Monique grew paranoid when she saw that the caller didn't know how to spell his own name. She became convinced that the caller wasn't Kain. This was a true 911 call, not a prank. She activated the tracer to find the source of the call, and the cell phone towers gave her his general location, but not the precise mansion where he was staying at. Monique remembered that there was an active operation in the area, and thinking that it was related to it, she notified the cops tasked with capturing the phantom thief. "Officer Kain Sanson is in need of assistance. He is possibly being held hostage by an unknown assailant. Proceed with extreme caution," said Monique. "And this is the general area where he is believed to be at." "This is Officer Connor. I'm on my way," said Lola, answering the summons. "And Kain's last known location was Michael's mansion, and I will tell everyone the address." Lola sent the address to her colleagues, and they began to mobilize. Lola arrived first at the mansion, and she found the dogs asleep. And she went through the back fence into the yard, and she walked past the pool area into the guest house. The house was bathed in complete darkness, and she felt something warm and fleshy brushing past her leg. She lit her flashlight for a second to see what it was. The cat meowed at Lola, and he made his way towards the garden. He turned his head to see if Lola would follow. She found no trace of Kain in the house, and he had been moved to a new location. The car was still waiting for her in the gardens, and Tiba moved a couple of paces before turning around, and he walked circles around Lola before taking once again a respectable distance. "Do you know where Kain is?" asked Lola, feeling rather foolish. "Meow," said Tiba. He walked past the open garden door, and he waited until he smelled that Lola was indeed following him. With no other lead, she had no other choice but to follow Tybalt. When they got to the beach, Tybalt slowed his pace, and he got into a crouching position, the type cats typically use when silently stalking their prey. Lola took this as a hint that she had to move with purpose. She removed her boots to make as little noise as possible. In the moonlight, she could barely make out Tiba's silhouette, and whenever she fell behind, Tiba returned to her side, and he would rub against her arm before walking ahead. And she was led into the thick of the sea grape bushes, and since the tide was high, this area was partially flooded. "Please stop," said a trembling voice. Lola now had confirmation of Kane's current location. The problem now was that she didn't know where she was. She sent a text message to her colleagues. The kidnapper was hiding somewhere in the bushes by the beach facing Michael's mansion. Kain had awakened from his stupor, and he was still using the same bathrobe he had on. And he remembered fainting after calling for help, and when he came to, there was a heavy body on top of him. He had a sharp piercing pain on his neck. The pain was slowly incrementing as the attacker's teeth sank further into his skin. He felt about in search of something heavy, and his hands then were bounded over his head by a strong masculine hand. The pain stopped momentarily as the man stopped biting his neck. "I wanted to give you a painless send-off, but since now you're awake, do me the favor and stand still and be quiet. I find the sound of your voice extremely irritating," said the voice. "Why are you doing this to me?" asked Kain, buying time. Why, mocked the voice before stuffing a rag into Kane's mouth. Kain thought of everyone who would possibly have a reason to hurt him. It was not as if he was a crooked cop, and yes, he ticketed more than the average cop, but he had a quota, and he arrested 2 burglars with Siddhanta's help a few months ago, and maybe this psychopath with a vampire fetish was a family member out for revenge. Or perhaps no. Try as he might, he couldn't guess the identity of the man that was sinking his fangs into his flesh. His only consolation was that the lunatic had normal human canines, so all he had to do was endure the pain until help came or the narcotic finished wearing off. He stopped struggling to conserve his strength. It was then when his eyes saw Lola. She took aim, but she was terrible shot under pressure. This miscalculation cost her the element of surprise, and the attacker brought out a revolver and he placed it against Kane's forehead. And based on the feel of it, Kain recognized it as his grandpa's revolver. How ironic that his gun would be used against him. "Throw your gun or I will kill this man," ordered the voice. Lola Lowe withdrew her gun, and she had a second gun by her leg, as well as her taser, so she could do without her main weapon. The sound of the bullet drew her colleagues to her location, and the man forced Kain to stand up. The two slowly moved deeper into the darkness, and Kain pondered how to best handle the situation. After analyzing his options, he allowed his body to go limp. The gamble paid off. The man put the gun away in order to carry Kain, and Lola caught up to the two, and once again she had a clear shot. And since the man had his back turned to her, she took careful aim, and she shot 3 bullets in quick succession. The first one missed, as well as the second. The third struck the elbow. The man screamed like a wounded animal before dropping Kain, and Kain took the chance to sprint away like the devil was after him. More backup arrived, and soon the darkness was aglow with police flashlights. Kain was safe for the moment. Lola escorted Kain back to the guest house, and his body was photographed and combed for evidence, and the bathroom was collected. Once all the evidence was collected from his person, he was finally able to shower off the dirt and grime, and in the light he was clearly able to see the visceral bite mark in his neck. It was deep purple, and he left the shower while trembling from head to toe, but not from the cold. Lola gave him a towel and a clean set of pajamas, and he sat down at the edge of the bed, and he retold everything that he remembered. "Give me some paper and some pencils," said Kain. Lola did as he asked, and the bastard had gotten away, and a squadron was combing the area in search of the perp, so they needed any clues to find the perp's identity. Today there was this weirdo giving me an odd look, and he asked me for Jeremy's phone number, or maybe that was an excuse to get close. And there was also this guy sitting in my spot at the beach, said Kain, sketching the faces of possible culprits. He could have also been the pizza delivery guy. I only started feeling ill after eating the pizza. Did you save up any slices? There are 2 slices in the refrigerator, said Kain. Did anyone know that you were going to be doggy sitting by yourself? Asked Lola. Just about everyone that has access to Dorothy's MySpace. She practically blabs about everything that happens in her small world, said Kain. Since Dorothy had over 30,000 friends, this information wasn't going to lead them anywhere. The cameras in the panic room were checked, and thankfully they had recorded the kidnapping. The criminal had a cap, and based on how low he kept his head, it seemed as if he was aware of the position of the camera in the bedroom. Do you want to look at the recordings, Kain? Asked Lola. No, you do your cop stuff, and I will do my victim stuff, said Kain, trembling. We found your cat and your cell phone if it's any consolation, said the forensic analyst, bringing over Thibault. I am going to drive you to your uncle's house, said Lola. My uncle isn't home, said Kain, and everyone went away on the holidays. Why didn't your family take you with them? Asked Lola. I told them that I was going to babysit the pets. And are the dogs all right? Asked Kain. They are sleeping, but they are more or less in one piece. Do you have any friends nearby? No, lied Kain, and he was worried about putting his friend in harm's way since the attacker was still on the prowl. Kain, if you don't call someone, I am calling your uncle, warned Lola. Kain in the end decided to call Oberon. He was the only person close enough to pick him up. Oberon saw that Kain was calling, and he wondered what Kain could want at this hour. Oberon, I had enough of spending Christmas in the company of animals. Can you come pick me up? Asked Kain. Are you drunk? And why can't you drive up yourself? Asked Oberon. I am not drunk. I just don't feel well, said Kain. If you don't want to help, I will bother someone else. I didn't say I wasn't coming. I just need to know if you need Alka-Seltzer, asked Oberon. What I need is a friend, said Kain without trembling in his voice. Oberon leaped out of his bed and he got his car keys, and on the way out he was seen by Natasha, who was stargazing. And she was a bit of a night out, and she decided to go with Oberon to fetch Kain. The two arrived after driving for an hour. Oberon looked at the army of cops roaming about the area, and this inspired him much confidence. And Officer Lola allowed them into the blockade, and they were handed custody of Kain and the pets under his care. Oberon saw the purple bite mark in Kain's neck, and Kain placed his hand over the bite to hide it from Oberon's gaze. He was feeling pretty self-conscious about it, and the 3 friends rode away in utter silence, and a patrol car followed behind them to make certain that Kain made it to his destination. Natasha turned on the radio to provide some levity to the situation, and she immediately turned it off because they had nothing but Christmas jingles. And she adjusted her rear view mirror to look at Kain, and she saw the weird bite mark on his neck. What happened to you, Kain? Did you get bit by a vampire? Asked Natasha, laughing nervously. Yes, that is exactly what happened, said Kain, while absent-mindedly petting Thibault. The cat eventually bit him because he was tired of being petted. He set Thibault down inside his car carrier, and he picked up Marmalade to pet her instead. And she roused from her sleep to take in her surroundings, and she barked happily when she saw that she was going for a car ride. She sat up before placing her head by the window, and Natasha lowered the window to allow Marmalade to stick her head out. No, seriously, Kain, were you indeed attacked by a vampire? Insisted Natasha, incredulous. I was attacked by a man who tried to engage in vampirism. He sank his fangs into my flesh while he attempted to get aroused. It is called paraphilia, the Rainfield syndrome, or clinical vampirism. The guy is still on the prowl, so we best keep our wits about us, said Kain wearily. Natasha's smile immediately faded, and she was under the impression that the danger had passed. Her heart sank deeper when Kain started crying, and he no longer had his grandpa's revolver, and he felt vulnerable without it. And he ran through his head all of the possible culprits and who wanted him enough to sink his teeth in him. He had so many questions, so few answers. Marmalade licked his face until he calmed down, and she was such a sweet dog. After an hour they arrived to Natasha's beachfront vacation home, and he was so abstracted in his misery that he didn't bother to take in the details. Oberon led him to the guest room, and Kain sank his head into the pillow. His eyes closed before sinking into a heavy slumber, and Oberon tucked Kain in, and he sat in the nearby rocking chair to guard his friend's dream. A half-hour passed with Kain tossing and turning, and every time he was falling asleep, an overpowering fear would summon him back to the waking world. In the end, he sat up and he looked at the clock. It was 1 minute past midnight. Merry Christmas, Oberon, said Kain. Merry Christmas, Kain. Can't sleep, asked Oberon. Would you consolidate sleep if you went through what I did? Asked Kain. No, I guess I wouldn't be able to sleep, said Oberon. Does it hurt? I'm going to give you a cold compress. They gave me an antiseptic cream, said Kain, looking at his duffel bag. Let me get it for you, said Oberon, fetching the cream, and he applied it with a Q-tip for sanitation reasons, and he added after putting away the cream, tomorrow I am going to call your family to inform them of what happened. I'd rather you didn't. I don't want to ruin the vacation. Why did you choose to stay behind watching over those moths? Asked Oberon, gesturing to the animals. They have pet hotels in Orlando. You could have gone with them had you truly wanted to. I didn't want to bog them down. I have been in poor company since Eugenia left me. It is so exhausting having to pretend to be happy all the time, and I wanted some time alone to lick my wounds, said Kain wearily. I do not know why I pined after that woman for so long. I am so stupid, so very, very stupid. Pine, you say. Are you finally over Eugenia? Asked Oberon, smiling warmly. I still love her, but not as strongly as I once did, said Kain. I can survive without her. Alright, that's the end of the Lovers Pentacle 3. Bye-bye, and God bless.